In the 7th year of our marriage, I went alone to the matchmaker temple to pray for marital happiness. But I discovered that Lin Xiaoxue, who was supposed to be working overtime, had unexpectedly appeared at the matchmaker temple. She was smiling, nestled in the arms of a man, and together they hung a red string of destiny. After returning home, I resolutely ended our 7-year marriage. Later, Lin Xiaoxue, who had nothing left, went to the matchmaker temple in the rain. Crying, she tore down the red string with the other man, threw it in the trash, and hung our red string high. I pray to the God of love to reconnect us. Let me reclaim my former love. Perhaps it's the 7-year itch, but lately I felt my relationship with my wife growing increasingly distant. A fortune teller said today was an auspicious day for hanging red strings. So for the sake of our marriage, I arranged to meet Lin Xiaoxue at the matchmaker temple to pray for blessings. But she said the company suddenly had something urgent and she couldn't get away, telling me to come back later. Unwilling to miss such an opportunity, I went to the matchmaker temple alone. However, as I knelt before the deity statue praying devoutly, I suddenly heard Lin Xiaoxue's voice. Xiaoyu, it's so good to have you here. I turned around in disbelief, and at that moment, Lin Xiaoxue was nestling in a man's arms, and together they were hanging a red thread on the locust tree in front of the altar. I knew this man. He was Qin Yu, the new intern at Lin Xiaoxue's company. Qin Yu lovingly placed a kiss on Lin Xiaoxue's forehead, then softly said, "Aren't I much better than that old man of yours?" "Stop it, you're definitely better than him. He's old and incompetent. How could he compare to someone as young and handsome as you?" Standing not far away, hearing these words, I felt terribly uncomfortable. Lin Xiaoxue and I were each other's first love. We met in college, married after graduation, and have been together for 7 years now. After marriage, Lin Xiaoxue said she didn't want to be a man's appendage, that she wanted her own career. So I spent all our family savings to help her start a company. Later she also said that with both of us working, our home didn't feel like a home. So I gave up my high-paying job and found a leisurely position closer to home, becoming a house husband. She didn't want children, preferring freedom. I agreed to this too. Having her was enough for me. Over these years, though the initial passion faded, our simple life together was still happy. Until 6 months ago, when Lin Xiaoxue hired a new male assistant, Qin Yu. After that, during casual conversations, Lin Xiaoxue would often casually mention him. She praised his dedication and ambition. She complimented his youth and energy, saying he always helped her relieve stress at work. As time passed, Lin Xiaoxue's praise for this in turn became increasingly unrestrained, shifting from his work abilities to his looks, from his career focus to his physique, and occasionally comparing me to him. With increased frequency, disputes became inevitable, and our relationship began to deteriorate. So, last night, I asked Lin Xiaoxue to come to the matchmaker temple with me today, but she stood me up, leaving me to visit alone. While I was intent on repairing our relationship, she deceived me, coming to the matchmaker temple to pray for eternal love with another man. Thinking of this, a feeling of sourness rose in my heart. I clutched the red string in my hand and strode forward. "Lin Xiaoxue!" My angry shout gave her a start. Turning to see it was me, Lin Xiaoxue instinctively pushed Qin Yu away from her side. However, their long-established way of life had given her a natural psychological advantage over me. Caught in the act, Lin Xiaoxue wasn't embarrassed at all. Instead, she began questioning me. "Infan, why are you here? Didn't I tell you to come later? Why am I here?" "That's a question I should be asking you, isn't it? Working overtime at the matchmaker temple?" Lin Xiaoxue frowned slightly. "What do you mean? I really did have a lot of work to handle. Fortunately, little you helped me finish early. Little you wanted to come pray for a relationship, and since I delayed his time off work, I drove him here. If I hadn't seen the two of them hugging and embracing with my own eyes, I might have actually believed her words." "Lin Xiaoxue, you should find a better excuse when you lie." I pointed at the red string with their names written on it hanging from the tree. "The red strings at the matchmaker temple have already been hung up, and you say you just came to drop him off." My outburst attracted quite a crowd of onlookers. Lin Xiaoxue's face instantly turned red, and she glared at me through gritted teeth, unable to utter a single word. Seeing the situation, Qin Yu intentionally pulled her, sheltering her behind him. "Brother Fan, let me explain, there's really nothing between me and Sister Xiaoxue. The red string was just hung up casually, only to pray for lasting friendship." Coming to the matchmaker temple to pray for friendship? I'm amazed he could come up with such an excuse. I had no desire to argue with Qin Yu. "Lin Xiaoxue, do you even believe what you're saying?" This lame excuse made Lin Xiaoxue uncomfortable, but her face couldn't hide her disgust toward me. "Shall you ignore him? Let's go." Then she looked at me viciously. "If you insist on making a scene, do it at home. Don't embarrass yourself in public." Looking at the backs of the two as they left, my heart completely died in that moment. I directly threw the red string in my hand into a nearby trash can, then walked down the mountain with large strides. After returning home, I discovered that Lin Xiaoxue had actually brought Qin Yu back to our age. Ooze. Seeing me, he immediately smiled and greeted me. Brother Fan, I never expected you were a graduate from a 985 university. That's amazing, I thought. Hearing these words left me confused, until my gaze swept across the coffee table filled with various certificates, and I understood. Those were various awards I received during my school years. To support Lin Xiaoxue back then, allowing myself to be content as a house husband, I had locked away all these honors and hadn't opened them for 7 years. Qin Yu probably thought these were something important, so he took the liberty to open them, using them to provoke me and assert his dominance. Regarding his petty intentions, I found it somewhat amusing. If they truly loved each other, I certainly wouldn't cling on desperately. At the same time, I felt somewhat tragic that after 7 years of marriage, in this home, apart from these certificates, I didn't have a single thing that truly belonged to me. Humph. So what if you graduated from a 985 university? Now you're just a kept man. Our Xiaoyu is the impressive one. Even though he only went to vocational college, he's already making his way in the world at such a young age. He'll definitely be successful in the future. Lin Xiaoxue had changed. Not only had her heart changed, but she had also become a harsh and unreasonable person. Lin Xiaoxue continued to ramble on, and my spine was invisibly weighed down by her words, unable to straighten. Looking at the various certificates on the coffee table, I vaguely recalled my past honors. Back then, I was full of vigor, considered an outstanding youth by teachers and classmates alike, and Lin Xiaoxue's eyes held nothing but admiration when she looked at me. Only at this moment did I realize that regardless of the time, reason, or gender, one should never abandon their own career. Let's get a divorce. After those words, a flash of panic crossed Lin Xiaoxue's eyes, but it quickly changed to disdain. Divorce? Who do you think you are? You're just a kept man. What could you possibly do without me? Can you stop these childish games like a grown man should? If you really dare to divorce me, I'd be glad to be rid of you. Acting jealous and playing these little mind games here only disgusts me. You should really reflect on yourself and come find me when you've thought things through. With that, Lin Xiaoxue pulled Qin Yu along and left without looking back. Only I remained in the empty house. I suddenly felt so tired, more tired than I'd ever felt in our 7 years of marriage. But I didn't allow myself to stop and rest. After calming down, I contacted an old classmate who now works as a lawyer and explained the whole situation to him. After a moment of silence, he offered his advice. Brother Fan, if everything you've told me is true, you might want to wait a bit longer. Their relationship has reached this point, and some things are bound to happen sooner or later. As long as you collect sufficient evidence, it will be enough to ensure Lin Xiaoxue leaves with nothing. That's not necessary. Just proceed as normal. Brother Fan, she started her company with your money. Are you really willing to? The person on the other end of the phone tried to persuade me further, but I refused. To be honest, Lin Xiaoxue's professional abilities were undeniable. Under her management these years, the company's assets had multiplied dozens of times. Even with a normal division, what I would receive would far exceed what I initially gave her. After arranging everything, I contacted some classmates who were doing well now, borrowed some money from them, and had them help me plan my future development path. For 7 years, I had been taking care of Lin Xiaoxue, never living for myself. Now, approaching 30, I wanted to make one more push in my career. By the time I finished everything, 3 days had passed. My phone was filled with posts from Lin Xiaoxue's social media, showing her having fun everywhere with Qin Yu. Seeing these still caused a slight pain in my heart, but it quickly disappeared. I sent a message to Lin Xiaoxue. The divorce agreement is ready. Come back to sign it when you have time. I didn't expect Lin Xiaoxue to return so quickly after receiving my message. Fan, what are you up to now? When did you become so petty? It's just a red string, isn't it? Here, take all these. Write whoever you want. Write as many as you want. As she spoke, she took out a bundle of red strings from her bag and slammed them heavily onto the table. Looking at the red strings that were originally meant to pray for perfect relationships, now becoming the fuse for our broken relationship, I felt a mix of emotions. They say the matchmaker temple blesses true connections and extinguishes ill-fated ones. I never expected that after 7 loving years with Lin Xiaoxue, we would turn out to be an ill-fated match. I ignored the bundle of red strings, gave Lin Xiaoxue a bland glance, then took out the divorce agreement I had prepared. This is the divorce agreement. Take a look and see if there are any issues. Fan, I admit what I did was wrong, but can't you be more magnanimous as a man? I've already apologized to you, so what more do you want? At this moment, Qin Yu, who had been silent standing at a distance, stepped forward. Seeing Lin Xiaoxue's unhappy expression, he quickly and gently pulled her into his embrace. Xiaoxue, don't get upset. Take care of your health. Don't get angry because of someone who's not worth it. Comforted by Qin Yu, Lin Xiaoxue immediately became docile like a bird. Looking up at Qin Yu's handsome and considerate appearance, she became even more resentful towards me. Look how caring Qin Yu is. He's young and handsome, and has time to accompany me every day. What about you? Hearing this, I gave a cold laugh. She says I'm old, but isn't she about the same age as me? Apparently, all these years of companionship have now become a joke. There's nothing more to say between us. Let's get divorced. Lin Xiaoxue was stunned for a moment, her expression immediately darkening. Slap. You heartless man. I stood there dumbfounded. The burning pain on my cheek was obvious. I never expected that I, the one who was cheated on, would be called heartless and even receive a slap. Truly the world turned upside down. After slapping me, Lin Xiaoxue still acted like a wronged victim. Qin Yu pulled her into his arms, took the hand she had used to slap me, and lovingly kissed it with concern. Does it hurt? Lin Xiaoxue looked moved and smiled at him. I'm fine. Then Qin Yu looked at me with an expression reserved for scumbags. That's enough from you. How could you not cherish a girl as good as Xiaoxue? What gives you the right to treat her this way? As a man living off women, what happiness can you possibly give Xiaoxue? Incited by Qin Yu's provocations, Lin Xiaoxue's disgust toward me intensified. Having been slapped, I didn't argue with Lin Xiaoxue, but simply handed her the divorce agreement. If you have no objections, just sign it. After much back and forth, Lin Xiaoxue finally agreed to look at the divorce agreement, but her brows furrowed just after turning 2 pages. If you want a divorce, fine, but you leave with nothing. All the money in our home was earned by me. You're just a freeloader. What right do you have to take half? After hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh at myself. I originally thought Lin Xiaoxue disagreed with the divorce because she still had some feelings for me, but I never expected it was just because she didn't want me to take away any of the assets. Thinking about all my contributions in the past, for the first time in all these years, I felt anger toward Lin Xiaoxue. It's because I provided the money for you to start your company, because I gave up my own career for you, because I've been the one taking care of you and your parents all these years. If you don't agree, then we'll see each other in court. Goodbye, no need to see me out. Soon, it was time for my court hearing with Lin Xiaoxue. On the day of the hearing, Lin Xiaoxue brought Qin Yu and her parents who had just returned from traveling. Upon seeing me, Lin's mother didn't care about the passers-by at all and immediately started cursing. You shameless thing. All these years, in our home, eating our food, using our things, not earning a penny yourself, lying around at home all day, and now you want a divorce. You're the one at fault. You need to compensate our family. As she spoke, she raised her hand and swung it hard toward my face. I dodged to the side, and with her momentum, she fell hard. At this, she started crying loudly in the street. He hit me. He hit me. My son-in-law hit his mother-in-law. Oh my goodness. More and more onlookers gathered, all criticizing me. Some were even holding up their phones to record the scene. Meanwhile, Lin Xiaoxue just stood to the side with an amused expression, allowing her mother to continue making a scene. I laughed bitterly. For 7 years, I had been at home diligently taking care of them every day. Whenever something wasn't to their liking, they would just say, "We're old. We can't move around much. Can't you take care of us?" as an excuse to order me around, treating me completely like their family servant. Previously, to maintain family harmony, I endured it all. But this time, I didn't want to endure it anymore. I immediately sneered. Before we got married, I was a graduate from a 985 university and had a high-paying job. It was your daughter who said that if both of us focused on our careers, we couldn't take good care of the family. That's why I quit my high-paying job. Even so, I found a job at a small law firm, and all your food and expenses come from my salary. I'm not someone who lives off others as you suggested. As for who is really at fault, you can ask your daughter. If I hear you speak like this again, don't blame me for suing you for defamation. To preserve Lin Xiaoxue's face one last time, I didn't publicly point out her affair. Rest assured, I won't ask for an extra penny from her, but likewise, don't expect to extort a single cent from me. Perhaps intimidated by my demeanor, Lin's mother didn't cause any more trouble afterward. The final verdict was almost identical to our previous divorce agreement. As we left the courthouse, Lin Xiaoxue arrogantly said to me, "I've finally escaped my misery. I want to see how someone like you will manage without me." Hearing her words, I suddenly found them ironic. During our 7 years of marriage, I was responsible for all the housework. No matter how busy or tired I was, my priority was always to keep her happy. Yet all my efforts were rewarded with her escaping from a bitter sea, feeling liberated from our marriage. I smiled self-mockingly. Perhaps she was just a tribulation in my life. I looked at her calmly. What kind of life do you really want? Lin Xiaoxue curved her lips into a smile, tightly holding Qin Yu's hand. What I want is excitement, constant companionship, things that an old man like you could never give me. After saying this, Lin Xiaoxue walked away with Qin Yu in large strides. Qin Yu even turned his head back to raise his eyebrows at me smugly, clearly with the attitude of a victor. To provoke me, Lin Xiaoxue posted a photo of her kissing Qin Yu on social media for the first time. The caption read, "Bravely pursuing a new life." Since officially divorcing Lin Xiaoxue, my career began to flourish. Through a friend's introduction, I met an important client, Li Xinyue. Our collaborative project proceeded very smoothly. But unexpectedly, one day while discussing business with Li Xinyue, he suddenly smiled and said to me, "I originally thought Mr. Yin was a decent person, but now it seems our cooperation needs reconsideration." As he spoke, he pushed his phone toward me. What was playing on it was the previous video of Lin's mother sitting on the ground cursing at me. The video had been cut to remove the beginning and end, only keeping the segment where Lin's mother was cursing at me, and it had suddenly gone viral online without warning. I immediately realized that someone was deliberately trying to sabotage me. Who it was, needless to say. Sure enough, that afternoon, Lin's parents came to my company with live streaming equipment. Upon seeing a young, beautiful woman sitting across from me, they acted as if they had caught me red-handed. Well, Yin fan, you indeed have another wild woman outside. I see why you were so eager for divorce. It was to let this wild woman take her place. You betrayed your marriage. What right do you have to take half of our family's assets? Hurry up and return the money. Across from me, business partner Li Xinyue smiled and retorted, "Not all opposite-sex people dining together are in a relationship." But Lin's mother wouldn't listen and became even more agitated. She glanced at Li Xinyue, then quickly snatched Li Xinyue's purse from the table and slammed it violently to the floor. "This purse was bought by Yin Fan for you, wasn't it? He spent my family's money on it. I'm going to smash it. You wicked woman don't deserve to use things paid for by my family." Lin's mother angrily stomped on the purse. I pushed her away. "That's enough. Your daughter was the one who betrayed our marriage. Not demanding she leave with nothing is already my mercy. If you continue with these insults, I'll sue you for damaging my reputation." Lin's mother's smug expression froze, and when she recovered, she furiously berated me. "You're lying. You have no evidence. You're just making things up." I gave a light chuckle. This was exactly what I had been waiting for her to say. I took out my phone, opened Lin Xiaoxue's social media page, and pointed it toward the camera in Lin's father's hand. "Everyone, look at this." On the first day after our divorce, my ex-wife was already kissing her male assistant. I only just found out they were having an affair before our divorce. Now my ex-wife's parents are turning the tables, claiming I'm the one at fault. They're demanding I return our assets. Gossip is human nature, and the number of viewers in the live stream kept growing. Because the evidence was irrefutable, public opinion on the internet immediately swung in my favor. Lin's parents looked at these photos in disbelief and finally left in embarrassment. After the two of them left, Li Xinyue smiled and asked me, "Was that you are mother-in-law?" I nodded inside. "Former mother-in-law. We're already divorced." Upon hearing this, Li Xinyue immediately had an "I understand now" expression. "I was thinking since she was your mother-in-law, it would be normal for her to misunderstand us, so I wouldn't ask her to pay for this handbag, but now." I smiled directly and said, "Make her pay for it. I have no relationship with her anymore." After finishing our meal, I took Li Xinyue straight to Lin Xiaoxue's company. Seeing Li Xinyue standing beside me, Lin Xiaoxue immediately darkened her face. "Humph, so you found another meal ticket and came to show off to me?" Ignoring Lin Xiaoxue's mockery, I went straight to the point. "Today Miss Fan is here to demand compensation from you." Upon hearing compensation, Lin Xiaoxue froze in place. What compensation? Clearly, Lin Xiaoxue had no idea what had happened today. "It's like this, Ms. Lin. Today your mother damaged my bag in Mr. Yin's office. The bag plus its allocation value is worth 1 million, but out of respect for Mr. Yin, you only need to compensate me the original price of 300,000. As Li Xinyue spoke, I handed over the surveillance video. Hearing the commotion, Qin Yu walked over from next door, intimately holding Lin Xiaoxue's arm. Seeing them together intimately now, I felt nothing but indifference, without any trace of discomfort. Perhaps I had been disappointed enough and had finally let go. On the other side, Lin Xiaoxue, seeing the video clearly recording the entire process of her mother's misdeed, had no possibility of denying it, and slowly spoke with mockery. "Humph, 30,000 is worth coming to collect. Yin Fan, what does it matter if you have an old classmate helping you? Without me, you are nothing. And I, without you, am still living splendidly." Qin Yu also chimed in beside her, saying everything Lin Xiaoxue loved to hear. "I used to think 985 university graduates were impressive, but now I see, they're nothing special. I just upgraded to undergraduate level, and sister is already preparing to give me a subsidiary company to practice with." Watching the two of them play off each other, it was obvious they came to laugh at my expense. "Ms. Lin, you seem to have misunderstood. Ms. Li just said that out of respect for me, she would charge you the original price." But now that we're divorced, I don't want you to owe Ms. Lee a favor because of me. After speaking, I looked at Li Xinyue beside me, hoping she wouldn't undermine me. Oh, I see. In that case, please compensate the full price, Ms. Lin. Anyway, for a successful person like you, 30,000 or 100,000 should be the same. After hearing this, Lin Xiushue's face turned dark. 100,000 might normally be nothing to Lin Xiushue, but during the divorce, she had given me most of her cash to protect the company. Now, while 100,000 wouldn't break her, it was still a significant expense. Of course, Ms. Lin can refuse to pay, since you weren't the one who damaged Ms. Lee's bag. We'll just have to report it to the police. Lin Xiushu naturally wouldn't let her parents face imprisonment, so she had no choice but to pay up. After this incident, Lin Xiushue's family finally quieted down, and my business began to flourish. And because of our long-term cooperation, Li Xinyue gradually became more familiar with me. One day, while I was chatting with Li Xinyue about our collaboration in my office, Lin Xiushue burst in. My assistant followed behind her with a panicked expression. I'm sorry, I couldn't stop this lady. I waved my hand, signaling the assistant to leave. As soon as Lin Xiushue saw me, she immediately tried to rush over and grab my hand, but I avoided her with disgust. Infan, please help me. Qinyu is a fraud. Lin Xiushue continued sobbing quietly. Actually, I was lying to you that day. After leaving you, my life hasn't been good at all. Qinyu keeps asking me for money every few days. The subsidiary company he was using for practice has been run into the ground by him, causing the company to be millions in debt. Now he's run away and can't be contacted, leaving me with a complete mess. At home, my parents are lazy and don't do anything, just waiting to be served all day, while constantly pushing me to go on blind dates, saying I'm an old maid that nobody wants. Lin Xiushue looked at me with a face full of pain, but there wasn't a trace of sympathy in my expression. So what does this have to do with me? Hearing my words, Lin Xiushue was on the verge of breaking down. She continued speaking with a hoarse voice. I'm sorry, I misjudged earlier. I've only just realized that you were the one who truly loved me all along. I suddenly felt like laughing. How on earth could Lin Xiushue be so thick-skinned? Li Xinyue, who was standing nearby, couldn't stand it anymore and directly confronted her. You really have no shame. You were the one who betrayed him before, and now that you've been deceived by that scumbag, you want to come back to Infan? Is everything just about benefits to you? As Li Xinyue's words fell, Lin Xiushue finally realized she was present. She instinctively pulled back some of her awkwardness and regained a hint of her arrogance. What business is it of an outsider like you? Infan has always loved me. This has nothing to do with you. Li Xinyue was neither angry nor annoyed, and replied calmly with a smile. Indeed, it's none of my business. I just couldn't bear to watch this. If Infan weren't wealthy, you probably wouldn't be here right now, would you? Having her dark psychology so easily exposed by Li Xinyue, Lin Xiushue immediately broke down. You bad person. Lin Xiushue rushed over and pushed Li Xinyue hard. Seeing this, I grabbed Lin Xiushue's arm and slapped her face. Enough. The crisp sound of the slap was particularly noticeable in the empty room. Lin Xiushue stood stunned with teary eyes, a look of disbelief on her face. You actually hit me for this woman? I spoke coldly. Who do you think you are? Don't take yourself too seriously. I stopped loving you long ago. My words cut Lin Xiushue like a knife. Before she could speak again, I directly had my assistant come in and throw her out. After Lin Xiushue's crying and shouting disappeared, I looked at Li Xinyue with guilt. I'm sorry, it's all my fault for constantly dragging you into these messy situations. Far from blaming me, Li Xinyue smiled sweetly. Want to make it up to me? I was a bit confused, but instinctively nodded. Then be my boyfriend. After that day, I officially entered into a relationship with Li Xinyue. Two people who had both been hurt could now truly appreciate each other. She was beautiful and lively, not only sensible, but also unpretentious. Together we made a powerful team, and our days were very happy. However, our peaceful life didn't last long before Lin Xiushue started frequently appearing near my company and home. I knew exactly what she was up to, because she had used the same tactics when pursuing me before. Li Xinyue said this was called slowly boiling a frog. I scoffed. That's such an outdated myth. Experiments show that when the water reaches a certain temperature, the frog will jump out. Besides, to boil a frog, it has to be willing to get into the pot in the first place. Through our joint efforts, Li Xinyue and I not only merged our companies to create something bigger over the years, but also opened branch offices overseas. Now I am busy with recruitment every day. No matter how Lin Xiushue follows me, I don't care. I just arrange my own work every day. Until the day when the company's HR department received the resume submitted by Qinyu. Looking at the big words, associate degree, on the resume, the HR department dismissed him without thinking. They even asked me rather puzzled. Boss, isn't it strange? In the job posting I published, I clearly stated that we only want graduates from 985 universities or those with exceptional talent, 1 in 10,000. He doesn't think he's that 1 in 10,000, does he? He hasn't even passed CET 4 or CET 6, yet he's applying for an interview with the boss. It's not hard to guess that this undeserved confidence was entirely inflated by Lin Xiaoxue. Scanning that extremely ordinary resume, I laughed. We should give young people a chance. Since he thinks he has exceptional talent, ask him to come for an interview this afternoon, so I can take a good look at his talent. Let me take a good look at what kind of talent someone who upgraded from an associate degree to a bachelor's degree yet dares to mock 985 university graduates REA. LOI is. That afternoon, before the interview even started, I ran into Qin Yu near the company. He was on the phone, completely different from his arrogant demeanor when he was by Lin Xiaoxue's side, anxiously yelling at the person on the other end. It's all your fault, saying there was a young rich woman looking for me. You made me offend Lin Xiaoxue to death, and several big companies won't even look at me. Find work carrying bricks at a construction site? Are you joking? Do you know what kind of life I had before when I was next to Lin Xiaoxue? Now I can only try at her ex-husband's company. Are you stupid? After how I provoked her ex-husband before, don't you think he'll want revenge on me? As long as he wants revenge, he'll keep me at the company, and once I'm in, I just need to sweet talk a bit, and I'll be fine. Huh, young people sure know how to dream. They just haven't eaten enough bitterness yet. When the interview started, Qin Yu called me bro repeatedly, acting extremely familiar, as if I were his actual brother. But I didn't fall for this. I followed the standard interview process completely. He couldn't answer a single question, just a clown jumping around. I dismissed him unceremoniously, but he was very indignant and tried to rush over to argue. With just one glance from me, the security guards nearby drove him out. After being kicked out, he happened to run into Lin Xiaoxue, who had been following me recently. Qin Yu, as if seeing a savior, grabbed Lin Xiaoxue and began pouring out his grievances. But Lin Xiaoxue nervously glanced at me, pushed him away, and then gave him 2 hard slaps, left and right. Are you sick or something? I was truly blind before to have liked such a useless person like you. You can't even compare to one finger of my ex-husband. How dare you touch me? Qin Yu became angry too, shouting back defiantly. You fucking old woman, you're really awful. You were the one who approached me first, weren't you? Now what act are you putting on? If it wasn't for your money, do you think I would have bothered with you? Every time I touched you, I felt disgusted. A crowd immediately gathered around, pointing and gossiping about the two of them, and I just quietly watched them fight like dogs. Useless? This word was very familiar. I remembered that when Lin Xiaoxue was defending Qin Yu before, she said I was useless, while Qin Yu was very useful. Now, it was truly a complete reversal. Afterwards, Lin Xiaoxue and Qin Yu's street argument went viral. People discovered she was the woman who had betrayed and then blamed others before, and they criticized her harshly online, also exposing her identity. Her company's reputation was damaged as well, accumulating billions in debt overnight. She was so distressed and overwhelmed that she had no time to harass me anymore. Instead, Lin's mother came directly to my company. Lin Xiaoxue lost money, and consequently her quality of life was much worse than before. Yet her mother sat calmly at my office desk. I have Lin Xiaoxue's private photos. If you give me 10 million now, I won't release them. You loved her so much. Can you really watch me release these photos? So greedy to this extent. I could hardly believe these were words a mother could say, but there was absolutely no way I would give her 1 million. We're already divorced. Why would my former mother-in-law think she could still squeeze money out of me? Utterly ridiculous. I secretly recorded what she said and planned to report it to the police after finishing work at the company today. But what shocked me even more was that before I could report it, Lin Xiaoxue's private photos were already circulating all over the internet. In an instant, it caused a huge uproar. Online, there were all kinds of insults, various offensive words. I immediately reported it to the police and handed over the recording. After verification, Lin's mother was arrested for extortion. Before being taken away, she glared at me viciously. Petty men don't live long. Just 1 million. Is that too much for someone like you now? You villain. Just like a shrew. That night, Lin Xiaoxue knocked on my door. Her hair was messy and disheveled, her clothes were in disarray, and she seemed completely off, as if she had lost her mind. Upon seeing me, she began to tear up, but her eyes remained blank. People are pointing fingers at me. I can't go on living. Before I die, I wanted to see you one last time. You've always been good to me, and I've wronged you. I actually truly loved you. I just lost my head for a moment. I regret it now. You're all I have left in my life. If you're willing to remarry me, I might have a chance to survive. If even you reject me, I really will die. Only when I heard that last sentence did I understand her true intention for coming tonight. Once, her words, if we're both too busy to see each other, do we even need this family anymore, had broken my wings and kept me trapped at home for 7 years. Now, she was once again trying to use her own life to threaten me into remarrying her. Before, I loved her and gave in to her wishes, only to be met with her cold indifference, my mother's regretful passing, and my own lack of accomplishment. Now, I won't be like that anymore. I stared at her coldly. You are responsible for your own life. It's not my concern. After saying that, I closed the door without hesitation. This time, I won't be swayed by anyone. I just want to focus on my career and live my life well. When I heard news about Lin Xiaoxue again, it was from a friend. Her company eventually went bankrupt, and she was left with many debts. After Lin's mother went to prison, Lin's father blamed all their problems on Lin Xiaoxue. He stubbornly believed that if Lin Xiaoxue came to find me, I would go back to her. He pressured Lin Xiaoxue daily to come apologize to me, leaving her mentally and physically exhausted. And after Lin Xiaoxue realized she had completely lost me, she went to the matchmaker's temple in the pouring rain. The rain soaked her completely as she cried, searching for the red string that I had thrown away, but she couldn't find it no matter how hard she looked, instead finding the one connecting her and Qinyu. Lin Xiaoxue tearfully pulled hard, directly tearing off that red string, and then threw it into the trash can. Scumbag, beast, you've ruined my life. She stumbled to pick up another red string and wrote my name at the end of it. After hanging this red string up, Lin Xiaoxue fell to her knees with a thud. She cried while begging, "Please, old man under the moon, connect our strings and let me regain my lost love." At this moment, lightning suddenly streaked across the sky. The newly hung red string was blown away by the strong wind and heavy rain. Watching the red string that she had hung up with her own hands disappear in the blink of an eye, Lin Xiaoxue collapsed to the ground. She helplessly burst into tears, but could never cry back the love she had lost. A year later, Li Xinyue and I obtained our marriage certificate and prepared to hold our wedding. On the day of the wedding, I saw a familiar figure at the entrance of the venue. That figure had messy hair and obvious injuries on their body. Li Xinyue beside me recognized that person. It was Lin Xiaoxue. Isn't that Lin Xiaoxue? As soon as Li Xinyue's words fell, Lin Xiaoxue raised her head. Her face was no longer as smooth and tender as before. Now it was covered with wrinkles and acne marks. Even her skin had darkened by several shades compared to before. The moment Lin Xiaoxue saw me, a flash of delight crossed her face, but her eyes dimmed when she noticed Li Xinyue beside me. In the end, she didn't come forward, but kept her head lowered. Seeing her in such a dejected state, I suddenly remembered the 20-year-old Lin Xiaoxue who had held my hand tightly and, upon hearing others say she wasn't good enough for me, had earnestly vowed before me, "I'm going to start my own business. I want everyone to know that I am not unworthy of you. We are meant to be together." But such an ambitious young woman was strangled by her own hands as her company grew bigger and earned more money with each passing year. But that has nothing to do with me anymore. Li Xinyue beside me nudged me and said, "Do you want to go say hello?" I smiled, took her arm, and said, "No need. Let bygones be bygones. The wedding is about to start, my beautiful bride. Let's enter." Li Xinyue smiled sweetly, then walked into the venue arm in arm with me. Lin Xiaoxue kept her head down the whole time, showing no reaction. But after I entered the venue, a few teardrops art on the ground where she stood. I didn't know about this,